Well, good evening everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. God, I am not looking forward to my XCOM stream tonight. God, 6 alien bases out of the, the 16 countries I've got to protect. My barracks is in shambles. Most of my squad mates are in fucking hospital, having to be band-aided with what little we have. And my resources are running low. But of course you didn't come here to find out about my XCOM campaign I'm going to be doing later tonight. No, I want to talk a little bit more about the cancellation of the local elections and a few other things. So obviously the news has hit out that effectively Keir the traitor Starmer has made good, or bad in this case, on his word to basically cancel local elections. Cancelled for a full year. And in my humble opinion, there's only one reason why somebody would want to cancel the local elections, and that's because they're running scared. But are we really surprised for a guy like Keir the traitor Starmer? Of course not. Because after all, this is the same guy who has decided to say he's going to prioritise protecting the Muslim community, the Islamic community, over the British people. This is the same person who decided he could spare £9 billion for the Chiago Islands deal, but couldn't spare £1.4 billion for pensioners and the winter fuel payment. And a guy who has sent millions, if not billions of pounds to Syria to fund terrorists and of course fund a war in Ukraine. In fact, if this guy had a magic lamp and a genie came out, the genie wouldn't give this wanker 3 wishes. He would say, for my first wish, I wish to erase you from all of existence. With his second wish, he would basically say, I wish to reinstate Britain to what it formerly was before Keir the traitor fucked us all over. And for my third and final wish, I wish that nobody is ever as bad as Keir the traitor Starmer ever again. The way I look at things, Keir the traitor Starmer has the same likability as the child murdering scumbag of Southport, quite frankly. Speaking of which, it turns out there was a secret, or now not so secret, little meeting that Keir the traitor Starmer had with Axel Radaku Banana. I mean, need I say more on this shit? This guy is supposed to be protecting and serving the United Kingdom's people. And yet here he is, going down to see the Southport murdering scumbag that is Radaku Banana, rather than doing his job and making sure this country is at its peak of its abilities. You could literally put Keir the traitor Starmer in a danger-proof room and somehow he'd still end up getting hurt. But there is something else I want to talk about, rather than just larping on about Keir the traitor Starmer and of course Angela Brainless Rayner, or Monster Rayner, or whatever you want to call her. I did actually put another super chat in Paul Thorpe's little show about 10 things we can do to fight back with our country. And as I've said before, I don't want us to be picking fights with each other. And this is not me trying to pick a fight with Paul Thorpe, quite frankly. What this is, however, is a gentle nudge from me to get Paul Thorpe to start realising he's banging his head against a brick wall. Because Keir the traitor Starmer will always do what Keir the traitor Starmer's going to do. And thank God the cops didn't come for me. Anyway, Keir the traitor Starmer is going to keep on screwing the country, whether we like it or not. As I've said before, he would run over his own grandmother to get political point scoring done if necessary. We cannot argue with a man who is akin to a far-left socialist who invaded Poland in 1939. He is effectively that socialist minus the genocide of a certain religion and a certain sect of people. But while I was saying my little message to Paul Thorpe, and he was reading it out, I couldn't help but notice him grimace at my comment. Just like, I get it, it's a little bit out there. I'm not exactly known for being politically correct, quite frankly. Nor am I ever going to be. At least within reason, anyway. We have already tried with Keir the traitor Starmer to do this through peaceful routes. And yet, when we did our little protest, or demonstration, or whatever you want to call it, down in London on the 1st of February, what did they do? They increased the isolation of Tommy Robinson. The very fucking reason that we went down to that demonstration in the first place, and this is what our Prime Minister's doing. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. But Paul Thorp, I know he's a bit older, he's part of an older generation, and he probably knows a lot more than I do, if we were to be brutally honest. That's the thing. I am nothing if not humble. I'm not sitting here claiming to be king shit of Turd Mountain. What I will say, however, is that surely, as much as we want Keir the traitor Starmer to read the room, we have to do the same as well, quite frankly. And I think it's pretty obvious now that Keir the traitor Starmer is going to do what Keir the traitor Starmer wants. He does not give two flying fucks about this country. And he can grimace all he wants about me saying we are headed towards a French-style revolution. And as I've said before, and will always say without fail, I don't want that. But the cold, bitter truth is, whether or not we want a violent French Revolution style, a violent revolution French style in the UK, whether we want it or not, and as I said, I don't want it, it's coming. That's the cold, bitter truth. Some people are not as blasé about, they're not as willing to say it as other people such as myself. Because as I've said before, I'm not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I'm not going to mince my words. I'm going to say it exactly how it is, and I will do my best not to bullshit you. And I've clearly seen Keir the traitor Starmer is not interested in this country. He categorically said, between Davos or Westminster, he'd rather be with Davos. That, in and of itself, should have been a huge red flag. Massive, even. And I don't know how long Paul Thorpe's been doing this, but I know I started in 2018, and I know damn well what I'm seeing right now. I am seeing the decay and the destruction of our great nation. Kind words and good intentions are getting us nowhere. We must resort to action, not words. Last summer, I know somebody said this, these aren't my words, apparently Paul hid behind his videos rather than call for action. If that's the case, it's disappointing, because it seems he clearly knows what's going on. He just doesn't have the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to call this situation out for what it truly is. So Paul, Richard Inman, this is a direct message to the pair of you. If you believe I'm wrong, and that we can do this peacefully, and that we have the capacity to use words rather than action, by all means, have me on the damn platform. Let's have a full-on debate. None of this 2 minutes and then dismiss me nonsense. No, I want a full fucking debate on this, quite frankly. Because I'm increasingly believing that there is only one way this is going to end, and it's not going to be pretty. I can't emphasize this enough. I don't want a violent revolution, but I fully understand that sometimes you have to do things you don't like. That's the cold truth on it. Thank you. Oh, like if I had my way, we would be having peace. If I had my way, that's what I'd do. But the cold bitter truth is, we're reaching the stage where we can't have that. Ironically, all the things that the left wing like to call us, the whole, I can't do the air quotes because I've got this in both my hands, but the so-called far right, and all the usual spiel that comes from the left. If we're the ones that are supposed to be fascists, how come Keir the traitor Starmer is taking political prisoners as a far-left socialist and Marxist? Answer that question, if you dare, lefties. But surely, if we're the fascists here, surely Keir the traitor Starmer wouldn't be taking political prisoners, wouldn't be denying people a platform for which to speak, and wouldn't be getting his two-tier police, or maybe I was right first time, to come after us, quite frankly. But what would I know? But Paul Thorp, Richard Inman, prove me wrong. Prove to me that words are the right approach for this. Because I'm starting to think, at bare minimum, we need to be taking more serious actions against this treacherous establishment. First and foremost, stop paying council tax. Second, mass strikes. Everyone down tools and stop working. Oh, I guarantee you they'll fucking reform real quick if we do all that. Because remember, if they don't have any money, their ability to spend anything goes up. Just like that. And obviously by go up, I mean go up in smoke. But this man, Keir the traitor Starmer, he is not going to conform. Hell, you've seen now what's happened. Instead of relaxing what's happened to Tommy Robinson, they've doubled down on it. This is what our words are doing, folks. They're not discouraging them, they're emboldening them. It's about time we understood. The only way we're resolving anything now is with direct action. Boots on ground. No more jaw. Civil disobedience. That is now our next step. Because as I said, I don't want a violent revolution. I want this to end peacefully. But if they're not going to comply, then to use Richard Inman's own words, we need to up the ante. We need to do more drastic measures and teach this treacherous establishment they will not continue disrespecting the will of the British people without consequence. So come on, Paul Thorp, Richard Inman, let's have a debate. Let's debate whether or not jaw is the right approach for this. Because quite frankly, I'm starting to feel more and more vehemently about this, that it is not the answer. We need proper, robust solutions for this. We can't sit and hide anymore. Something's going to have to give. That's the cold truth of the matter. Either we're going to have to prepare for war, or we're going to have to resort to civil disobedience. Those are our two choices right now. As I said, I don't want violent revolution. But we have to prepare for the worst now. We have to be prepared to do whatever it takes to reclaim the country from these dictators. Or yet again, maybe I was right first time. We have to do something to stop this country from becoming an Islamic country, from becoming a third world shithole like the ones that a lot of these people are migrating from. And I know people are not going to like that, but how are we supposed to help ourselves if we keep handing out our arms and legs, metaphorically speaking, to other countries? How are we supposed to look after ourselves if we're doing all this for other people? We are literally killing ourselves. That's what we're doing. We are killing ourselves just to look good on paper. And if there is an opportunity for me to go to this reform thing in March, I will want to put questions to Farage. Questions he's not going to like. Because at the end of the day, we need to get tough. We need to show them the British people are not fucking around anymore. We need to show them we've had enough and we want our country back. And we will get our country back, by hook or by crook. It's down to them how that happens. Now, as far as this Swedish attack in that adult education centre, I know there was a post I put up, a comment on my YouTube channel, basically saying we all know the one ideology, the usual suspects and all that. I actually forgot to change that when I put my other video out, basically discussing this Swedish shooting, because I did actually mention Rickard Anderson. I just forgot to change the post to reflect this, that's all. So I have put the facts out there, I just haven't updated the post, generally speaking. Now, as I said, I know this is probably going to come off as an attack on Paul Thorp, but believe me, I understand what he's doing. I know he's got good intentions. But as they say, the road to hell is often paved with good intentions, quite frankly. We have to get a grip. We have to realise there is no way that Keir the traitor Starmer is going to back down. We cannot either. If he will not back down, then we will push him to back down. And then we'll take his spot and we will make sure the power goes to the people again. Ronald Reagan said this: we are the driver, the government is the car. We decide where we want to go and by what route and how fast. And if this car doesn't like the route that we want to take, or how fast or slow we want to take it, then we ditch the car and get a new one. Thank you. But another thing I will point out to Paul Thorp and Richard Inman, you can't keep living in the slow lane. You just can't. Think of it like going to work, like I've just come home from work. You start a job at 9 o'clock. You have to leave the house at 8 o'clock. The slow road will make you 10 minutes late. You can't keep taking the slow road, because if you keep getting late, the boss is going to fire your ass. Just like that. We have to take a more robust and, I will say it, a more aggressive approach. But aggressive in the sense of we will push these people to realise in a more direct manner that they are not going to continue thwarting the wishes of the British people. I'm not sitting here saying we should go and loot Greggs, or attack MPs, or burn down the houses of treachery, I mean Parliament. Or yet again, maybe I was right first time. But what I am saying is that we need to take more approaches that involve hitting the government where it hurts. The purse. We need to hit the establishment where it hurts. We need to make sure that we're holding these traitors to account. And the only way we're going to do that is if we start to get serious. If we just keep saying, oh, you naughty boy, Keir Starmer, you're doing the wrong thing, you need to behave yourself, we're not going to get anywhere. And that's probably the only time I'm going to say his actual name without calling him a traitor. But if you want to deal with Keir the traitor Starmer, we need to start being like, right, Keir the traitor Starmer, if you don't start behaving yourself, you're going in the corner. Because that's the way I look at things. We have to start saying to them, enough's enough. And we have to show that we mean business. Devil's advocate here, though. Yes, I know he's a lovely person. Anyway, devil's advocate here. I can understand why they're taking the politically correct route, as they don't want to stray from the wrong side of the law, quite frankly. But you have to understand, there are some people that are too dangerous to be given leniency. Think Emperor Palpatine and Mace Windu, that combat where Windu had him on the ropes. But of course, because of hesitancy and because of false promises, Windu ended up dead and Palpatine lived, and so on and so forth. What happened as far as the elections is all you need to know. And yes, I do accept it's only the local elections that are being stopped. Here's the problem, though. I need a new change of clothes. Bear with me. This is much more like it. Some nice warmth. Freshly washed as well from a few days ago. Haven't been wearing it. Anyway, the point is, anybody that is willing to subvert democracy is unequivocally a fascist and a dictator. You know, the very things that the so-called left wing, the actual left wing, call the so-called far right, the fascists, the dictators, etc., etc. And I can't stress enough, the far left socialist, almost said his name actually, who ended up invading Poland, we tried talking to him beforehand. Look where that got us. And we had that horrific Second World War that cost millions of people across both sides their lives. I don't know about you, but I'd rather not have another war, whether it be civil or world. I want this to end peacefully, absolutely. But until we accept the fact that we cannot reason with Keir the traitor Starmer, and we don't start taking more robust actions, this will never change. Cold, bitter truth. We have to get serious. And Paul Thorp, Richard Inman, I'm sure there is some part inside you, whether it's in here or downstairs or what have you, there surely has to be something inside that good-intentioned heart of yours that says, you know what, we may not want to accept what Matty here is saying, but he has a valid point. I don't want a violent revolution. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm probably the last person who wants that shit. But I am not going to mince my words. I will say it how it is, because those are my bloody principles, quite frankly. And we can't keep sitting on the fence, because eventually my arse is going to be very fucking sore, and I am going to be wanting blood for the stuff coming out the other end. We have to deal with this, and the bottom line is, jaw is good up to a point. But when jaw fails, it's time for action. Ideally preventative. But if all else fails, then we've got to prepare for war. You can't just sit there thinking that peace is always going to come out on top. This isn't a fairy tale, guys. This isn't one of those fucking children's books where you look in and you see, oh, Cinderella's going to the ball. Oh, she lost her shoe. Oh, but she got it back and everything's happily ever after and all that. No, this is the real love, matey. The real world, matey. You can't expect everything to go smoothly. And if we don't do something about Keir the traitor Starmer and do it PD fucking Q, then this country is cooked. That is the purest, simplest, brutally honest truth. We need actions, not words. Mass civil disobedience. Stop paying taxes. Mass walkouts. Potentially bring the country to a fucking standstill, if necessary. After all, Just Stop Oil did it. Insular Britain have done it. Plasticine have been bringing London to a crawl with their pro-terrorist actions. Why can't we do the same? Only unlike those left-wing NPCs, we have the numbers. We can have the boots on the ground to make shit dig. Keir the traitor Starmer will be lucky if he can get 1,000 or 10,000 police down to stop us, quite frankly. And if we all stop paying taxes, they can't arrest us all, because the prisons would be full. Unless they're now going to come along, and I had this by coincidence, if it's still over here somewhere. Probably isn't, knowing my luck. I actually had a can of sardines, but that's basically what it is. Unless he's planning to pack us all into a prison cell like sardines. He won't be able to fit us all in there. not hundreds of thousands of people. There's a reason I haven't signed the pledge, and that is simply because I don't want to commit myself 100% to anything. I want my options open. If we're about to go to war, I don't want to have a collar around my neck that basically pulls me back and says, you're not going to do this, that, and the other, because you promised us you wouldn't do it. And let me be clear, I want to stop tyranny, 100%. But you can't keep holding us back anymore. If we keep holding back, the enemy wins. Remember, evil only wins when good men do nothing. And it seems like right now, as much as we've had days of celebrations with these protests, what have these protests accomplished? 2 words. Fuck all. I know people are not going to like me saying that, but as I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If these protests really did something, Tommy Robinson would be out of jail. 3,200 political prisoners would be out of jail. Keir the traitor Starmer would be out of a job. The the Labour Party, or maybe I was right first time, would be out of jobs. They'd be disbanded, disengaged from politics. If this was going to be a true success, we need to see actual results, because we haven't seen any. These events have been about as much success as my New Year's resolution last year to lose weight, quite frankly. You think I'm wrong, Richard? Paul? Anyone? Come debate me. Send me an email. I will link it in the description below, as I always do. abathax_@gmail.com. Send me a mail. Debate me. Prove me wrong. But the way I see it, we've had no success. I know we want to say everything's been a massive success. And yes, I will say, as far as keeping peaceful is concerned, yes, it has been a massive success. But that's about it. If we want real change, we have to up the ante. Your words, Richard. So are we going to take that action? Are we going to stop paying taxes? Are we going to down tools and walk out? Or are we going to keep talking about it at the round table? I leave that choice to you. But if we don't take action, we can't be surprised if this country goes down the toilet.